How Conor McGregor settled his wildest legal dispute. What happens when a plumber from Dublin trades wrenches for left hooks and ends up rewriting the history of combat sports? How does a man go from fixing pipes to breaking pay-per-view records, from lifting belts to lifting lawsuits? And what drives someone to throw a dolly through a bus window, punch a pub patron over whiskey, and still walk into the octagon like a king? This is not just a story about fighting. It's a story about fury, fame, and fallout. About a man who rose from the streets of Crumlin with nothing but grit in his fists and fire in his eyes. A man who conquered the UFC, built a whiskey empire, and then watched it all teeter on the edge of scandal. From the rise of the Notorious to the aftermath, we'll dive deep into the chaos. Every punch, every quote, every courtroom twist. Why did Conor McGregor smash a fan's phone in Miami? What really happened in that Dublin pub? How did sexual assault allegations reshape his legacy? And through it all, who stood by him, who sued him, and who tried to silence him? Before we dive into the story of Conor McGregor, don't forget, follow us for more jaw-dropping stories, subscribe to our channel, and click the notification bell so you never miss an episode of intrigue, scandal, and legendary rise and falls. In the working-class neighborhood of Crumlin, Dublin, where the scent of Guinness wafts through the air and the pavement tells stories of scrappy football matches and pub debates louder than church sermons, a boy named Conor Anthony McGregor was born on July 14, 1988. He didn't arrive with a golden rattle or a silver spoon. He came into the world with clenched fists and a destiny that would punch its way into history. His father, Tony McGregor, was no ordinary cabbie. He was a taxi-driving philosopher, the kind who could quote Yeats while dodging potholes and rant about Irish politics with the passion of a pub poet. Tony had a gift for storytelling, and if you were lucky enough to ride in his cab, you'd get a tale with your fare, sometimes about Dublin's ghosts, sometimes about his son's left hook. His mother, Margaret McGregor, was the quiet storm. A woman of quiet resilience, she held the family together with the strength of 1,000 granite cliffs. She didn't shout, she didn't boast, but she endured. Through economic hardship, through Conor's teenage tantrums, through the chaos that would later engulf their lives, Margaret was the anchor. Conor's early life was far from golden. Crumlin wasn't the kind of place where dreams came true. It was the kind of place where you learned to fight for them. The McGregors weren't wealthy. They weren't connected. They were just Irish, stubborn, and scrappy. He attended Gaelcholáiste a Gaelic-speaking secondary school where he was supposed to learn the beauty of the Irish language. But Conor was more interested in throwing punches than conjugating verbs. While his classmates recited poetry, he shadowboxed in the hallway. His teachers saw a rebel. His friends saw a warrior in the making. Before the octagon, there were pipes. Conor briefly trained as a plumber, the kind who unclogs sinks and tightens faucets. But the only thing he wanted to tighten was his jab. He hated the work. He hated the grime. And one day, he dropped the wrench and picked up gloves. "I knew I was meant for more," he later said. "I wasn't born to fix leaks. I was born to break records." At age 12, Conor began boxing at Crumlin Boxing Club under Phil Sutcliffe, a local legend with fists like anvils and wisdom like a monk. Sutcliffe saw something in the boy, a fire, a fury, a finesse. Conor trained like a man possessed. His left hand wasn't just powerful, it was a weapon of prophecy, capable of rewriting history. And his tongue? It could sell sand in the Sahara, charm snakes, and insult entire nations in one breath. By 18, he transitioned to mixed martial arts, training under John Kavanagh at Straight Blast Gym. Kavanagh was the yin to Conor's yang, calm, cerebral, and strategic. Together they built a fighter who could not only win, but entertain. In 2008, Conor made his professional MMA debut. It was electric. He fought like a man who owed the universe a debt and intended to pay it in blood and brilliance. By 2013, he entered the UFC, and in his debut, he knocked out Marcus Brimage in under a minute. The world gasped. The Irish had arrived, not with a fiddle, but with fury. In 2008, long before the limelight, Conor met Dee Devlin. She wasn't a celebrity, she wasn't a manager, she was just a girl who believed in a boy with big dreams and bigger fists. Dee became his anchor, his confidant, his manager, and the mother of his children, Conor Jr., Croia, and Rian. She stood by him through the chaos, the courtrooms, and the cage, through the scandals, the lawsuits, and the broken bones. "She's my everything," Conor once said. "Without her, I'd be nothing." And he meant it. In 2015, McGregor faced Jose Aldo, a champion who hadn't lost in a decade. The fight lasted 13 seconds, one punch, one legend dethroned. Conor claimed the featherweight title, and the world bowed. In 2016, he defeated Eddie Alvarez to become the first UFC fighter to hold two belts simultaneously. He wasn't just a fighter, he was a phenomenon. He earned ESPY awards, landed on Forbes' Top 100, and became a global icon. Then came Proper No. 12 whiskey, a brand that sold faster than his jabs. It wasn't just a drink, it was a declaration. "I'm not just a fighter," he said. "I'm a businessman. I'm a brand." With fame came fortune. With fortune came frenzy, and with frenzy came controversy. Conor's life became a whirlwind of courtrooms, headlines, and handcuffs. But that's a tale for another round. One filled with dolly throwing, pub punching, and lawsuits settled with the elegance of a flying knee. It was supposed to be a routine UFC media day at Barclays Center, Brooklyn, but Conor McGregor turned it into a scene straight out of a gangster flick. Fueled by rage over a backstage altercation involving his teammate Artem Lobov and rival Khabib Nurmagomedov, Conor stormed the loading dock with a posse and hurled a metal dolly through a bus window carrying UFC fighters. Michael Chiesa suffered facial lacerations, and Ray Borg sustained eye injuries from shattered glass. Quote, "I just saw red," Conor told his legal team. "They disrespected my brother." Charges: assault and criminal mischief. Outcome: Conor pleaded guilty to disorderly conduct, avoiding jail time. Chiesa sued for damages, and the case was settled via litigation in 2020, with terms sealed tighter than a championship belt. Outside the Fontainebleau Hotel, Conor was approached by fan Ahmed Abdirzak, who tried to snap a photo. Conor allegedly slapped the phone out of his hand, stomped it, and walked off with the remains like a victorious gladiator. Charges: strong-arm robbery and criminal mischief. Outcome: charges were dropped after Conor paid $5,000 in restitution and settled via civil litigation. No jail, just a bruised ego and a broken phone. At the Marble Arch pub, Conor offered a shot of Proper No. 12 whiskey to Des Keogh, a 50-year-old patron. Keogh declined. Conor, in a moment of liquid courage and poor judgment, punched him square in the face. Quote, "I was wrong. That man deserved respect." Outcome: fined €1,000. Keogh sued. The case was settled privately, likely with a handshake and a hefty check. In 2018, Nikita Hand accused Conor of sexual assault in a Dublin penthouse. The case simmered for years until a civil jury in November 2024 found him liable, awarding her $248,603 in damages and $1.3 million in legal costs. Conor's appeal was rejected in July 2025, and a perjury probe was launched after his team withdrew evidence. In 2023, another woman accused him of assault during Game 4 of the NBA Finals in Miami. Though no criminal charges were filed, the incident added fuel to the fire. Quote, "I deny all allegations. I will fight this like I fight in the cage, with truth and fire." Conor is a walking contradiction. Disciplined in training, reckless in nightlife. His quotes are legendary. McGregor's character is a cocktail of bravado, brilliance, and volatility. He's quoted as saying, "I'm not here to take part. I'm here to take over." And take over he did, until the lawsuits started taking over him. Precision beats power. Timing beats speed. "I am cocky in prediction. I am confident in preparation, but I am always humble in victory or defeat." Yet humility often took a backseat to hubris, especially when whiskey and cameras were involved. Led by Graham Kenny, McGregor's legal team mastered the art of celebrity defense: delay proceedings, deflect blame, and settle quietly. They leaned on private arbitration, sealed settlements, and PR damage control to keep Conor in the cage, not the courtroom. By 2025, McGregor's fight record stood at 22-6. His legal record? A patchwork of settlements, fines, and apologies. He lost sponsorships, faced travel restrictions, and his whiskey brand took a hit from the scandals. But Conor remains defiant. He trains, he posts, he teases comebacks. He is, in every sense, the Notorious. Final quote, "I've made mistakes, I've paid for them, but I'm still standing, and I'll fight until the last bell." Before we go, don't forget, follow us for more jaw-dropping stories. Subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell so you never miss an episode of intrigue, scandal, and legendary rise and falls.